Hey Rick, was the Great Depression just when everyone was really sad or something?
Oh, Jesus Christ, Morty. No, you absolute doorknob. The Great Depression wasn't people sitting around crying into their pillows listening to sad Spotify playlists. It was when the entire American economy face planted into a wood chipper and dragged the whole world down with it. We're talking about the 1930s, Morty. The decade when capitalism looked at itself in the mirror and went, you know what? Maybe I'm not so great after all.
Oh geez, Rick, that sounds bad!
Bad? Bay-D? Morty, calling it bad is like calling a black hole a little bit sucky. 25% unemployment, Morty. 1 in 4 people couldn't find work. Banks collapsed faster than your GPA. People lost everything. And I mean everything. Life savings, gone. Jobs, vanished. The American dream? More like the Americans screaming into the void. But you know what the best part is, Morty? The absolute cherry on top of this economic disaster Sunday? It all started because everyone thought they were financial geniuses.
Wait, what do you mean, Rick?
Okay, picture this, Morty. It's the 1920s. World War I just ended. America's economy is absolutely vibing. Factories that used to make tanks are now making toasters and refrigerators. Jazz music is everywhere, which is basically the Wi-Fi of the 1920s. Loud everywhere and nobody fully understands how it works. Henry Ford's assembly line is cranking out Model T cars like they're going out of style, except they're not. They're very much in style. What used to take 12 hours to build now takes 90 minutes. The economy is roaring, Morty. Hence the name the Roaring Twenties. People genuinely believe the good times would last forever.
That doesn't sound so bad, Rick! Why didn't it last?
Because human beings are idiots, Morty. That's why. See, when things are going well, people don't think, hey, maybe we should be careful and not get too crazy. No. They think, you know what? Let's take all our money, borrow more money we don't have, and gamble it all on the stock market. It's like watching someone win at blackjack twice and then betting their house on the next hand. The stock market became Disneyland for adults, except instead of rides, it was just reckless financial decisions.
But Rick, isn't investing in stocks supposed to be, smart?
Oh, sure, Morty. Investing can be smart. You know what's not smart? Margin loans. Let me break this down for your smooth little brain. In the 20s, you could buy $100 worth of stock with just $10 down. The other 90, borrowed. On credit. People thought, hey, stocks only go up, right? Well, just pay it back later with all my profits. Even barbers were giving stock tips, Morty. Barbers! When your barber is telling you which stocks to buy instead of just cutting your hair and shutting up, you know things have gone off the rails. Between 1924 and 1929, the Dow Jones quadrupled. Stock prices broke free from any connection to actual company profits or reality. It was all vibes, Morty. Pure vibes and delusion.
So what happened, Rick? Did everyone just wake up one day and realize it was all fake?
October 29th, 1929, Morty. Black Tuesday. The day America woke up rich and went to bed broke. The stock market didn't just fall, Morty. It performed a flawless 10-meter dive into concrete. $14 billion of wealth vanished in one day. Adjusted for inflation, that's over $200 billion in today's money. Gone. Poof. Thanos snapped out of existence. Ticker tapes were spitting out red numbers like they were possessed. Traders were literally fainting. One guy reportedly had a heart attack, recovered, looked at his portfolio, and had another heart attack. It was financial Armageddon.
Oh man, that's really messed up, Rick.
Oh, it gets better, Morty. Remember those margin loans I mentioned? Well, when the market tanked, brokers wanted their money back. Immediately. People who had been millionaires on Monday were bankrupt by Thursday. Paper fortunes evaporated overnight. And then the banks started collapsing. See, banks had lent out all this money they didn't actually have based on the assumption that everyone would pay them back. Classic fractional reserve banking stupidity. When people couldn't pay, the banks went belly up. And when banks fail, Morty, people panic.
What did they do, Rick?
Bank runs, Morty. Crowds of people storming banks, banging on locked doors, screaming for their savings. Entire families lost everything. Grandpa's bonds? Worthless. Aunt Margaret's savings? Gone. Little Timmy's piggy bank was literally the wealthiest asset in the household. And here's where it gets really fun. The disaster didn't stay in America. Oh no. US banks called in their overseas loans, which threw European economies into a blender. Germany's already fragile post-World War I economy collapsed. Global trade fell by half in 3 years. The whole world caught America's economic plague.
Jeez, Rick, so what happened to all those people? Did they just starve?
Many of them did, Morty. By 1931, unemployment hit 25%. 1 in 4 Americans who wanted to work couldn't find a job. Detroit's auto plants shut down. Production collapsed by 75%. Cities had these things called breadlines where mothers would line up at dawn for a bowl of thin soup. Kids were fainting in school from hunger, Morty. Not because class was boring, but because they hadn't eaten in days. The suicide rate skyrocketed, marriage rates collapsed, birth rates fell. People couldn't dream about the future because they couldn't even guarantee dinner.
That's horrible, Rick. Wasn't the government doing anything?
Oh, President Herbert Hoover tried, Morty. He encouraged volunteerism and offered modest relief programs. Built the Hoover Dam, which is actually pretty impressive from an engineering standpoint. But you could feed Chicago's hungry with a dam in Nevada, can you? Hoover refused large-scale federal aid because he thought it was un-American. Meanwhile, people were living in shanty towns made of cardboard and scrap that they called Hoovervilles. They used newspapers for blankets, which they called Hoover blankets. His name became synonymous with suffering. Great legacy there, Herbert.
So nobody could fix it?
Not until 1933, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt showed up and actually did something. FDR didn't mess around, Morty. He created the Civilian Conservation Corps, which put young men to work planting trees and building parks. The Works Progress Administration hired millions to build roads, bridges, schools. People who had been standing in bread lines were suddenly building infrastructure and earning paychecks. The Tennessee Valley Authority brought electricity to entire regions that had been living in darkness. GDP started rising. Unemployment slowly crept downward. People dared to imagine a future again.
So FDR saved everyone?
Well, he didn't just throw money at the problem, Morty. He actually fixed the system. Created the SEC to regulate Wall Street so they couldn't pull the same scam twice. Created the FDIC to protect people's bank deposits. Introduced Social Security so old people wouldn't have to work until they literally dropped dead. Were these perfect solutions? No. Did they help? Absolutely. The New Deal wasn't just about jobs, Morty. It was about rebuilding trust in institutions that had completely failed people.
But Rick, if things were getting better, why do history books make it sound so terrible for so long?
Because it was terrible for so long, Morty. The Depression lasted a decade. Even with FDR's programs, full recovery didn't really happen until World War II ramped up production and created massive industrial demand. Millions of people suffered through years of poverty, hunger, and hopelessness. The psychological scars lasted generations. People who lived through the Depression never fully trusted banks again. They saved everything. They wasted nothing. Because they remembered what it was like to have nothing.
So what's the lesson here, Rick? Don't trust the stock market?
The lesson, Morty, is that economies are fragile systems built on trust and collective delusion. When everyone believes things will keep going up, they do. Until they don't. And when the illusion breaks, it breaks hard. The Great Depression happened because people confused a bull market with economic invincibility. They borrowed money they couldn't repay to buy assets at insane prices, all while ignoring warning signs like massive rural debt, income inequality, and the fact that their barber was giving them investment advice. It's the same pattern that repeats throughout history, Morty. Tulip mania in the 1600s, the dot-com bubble, the 2008 housing crisis. Humans never learn.
That's really depressing, Rick.
Well, yeah, Morty. It's called the Great Depression. What did you expect? Sunshine and rainbows. The point is that when financial systems collapse, real people suffer. Not the bankers who caused it, they usually land on their feet. But regular people lose their homes, their savings, their dignity, and it takes years, sometimes decades, to rebuild. So maybe, just maybe, we should pay attention to economic warning signs instead of assuming infinite growth is guaranteed. But we won't, because humans are fundamentally incapable of learning from history. Now come on, we've got bigger problems. I need your help calibrating a quantum destabilizer before it creates a singularity in the garage.
Oh, geez, Rick.